الله 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 محمد رسول الله يا مولانا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله حمد الذاكرين. الحمد لله حمد الشاكرين. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. اللهم لك الحمد بجميع محامدك كلها ما علمنا منها وما لم نعلم، على جميع نعمك كلها ما علمنا منها وما لم نعلم، عدد خلائقك كلهم ما علمنا منهم وما لم نعلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين صلاة تجعلنا بها من الذاكرين، صلاة تجعلنا بها من الذاكرين لك كثيرا والذاكرات. أما بعد، حضرة مفتي صاحب, honorable guests, dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allow me to start with the words of Imam Ibn Ata'illah al-Sakandari rahimahullah ta'ala wa radiya an in his munajah, invocations. إلهي أنا الفقير في غناي فكيف لا أكون فقيرا في فقري. Oh my Lord, I am poor in my state of poverty. Shouldn't I be the poorest in my apparent states? Oh my Lord, I am poor in my state of affluence. Shouldn't I be the poorest in my apparent state of poverty? إلهي أنا الجاهل في علمي فكيف لا أكون جهولا في جهلي. Oh my Lord, I am ignorant even when I appear to be learned. Shouldn't I be the most ignorant in my real state of ignorance? إلهي إن ظهرت المحاسن مني فبفضلك ولك المنة علي. O my Lord, if any good appears on me, it is out of thy bounty, and you have your favors upon me. وإن ظهرت المساوئ مني فبعدلك ولك الحجة علي. If any evil appears on me, it is out of thy justice, and you have a proof against me. Brothers and sisters, it is our obligation to deny when we are overpraised or even praised with things which do not have. And I like to be introduced as simply the servant of the seekers of knowledge, the servant of the sacred knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put me in this position. Allah opened my mouth to speak. Allah facilitated for me a father, a master, a teacher. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept me on this way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala devoted me to mosques since I was a little boy. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep me doing what I have been doing. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for husnul khatimah, for a beautiful seal of my life and my efforts and my struggle. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward my master and anyone who has done to me good or extended to me any knowledge or guidance. It is my great honor to be in this gathering here, and I believe it's a great honor for the Muslim Ummah to receive a new book on Zikr, especially written not by a researcher, just a scholar or a researcher or a writer who digs up in books and try to put something together, but by a real dhakir. Written by someone who practiced dhikr throughout his life. Written by someone who grew up amongst people of dhikr. Written by someone who was all his life around dhikr sessions, dhikr gatherings. The taste will be different. And the words will be different. It's not the same. when a researcher or a scholar or a student of knowledge or a writer just digs up in the books and try to bring something. This is why we need to appreciate something when it is written by an expert in the outward and the inward. And this is what the Sharia is about. The outward and the inward. Working on the outward form in terms of the daily obligations of the Sharia, in terms of the instructions of adab, and then working on the innermost, on the inward, on the heart, on the secret, on the hidden truth inside you, on having every piece of the innermost of you compatible with the outward form, and having the outward form reflecting the innermost of you. آداب الظواهر عنوان آداب السرائر, as Imam Al-Ghazali says. The adab of the outward is a reflection, manifestation of the adab of the inward. The reality of dhikr could be best known by the people of dhikr themselves. Of course, you have a book to read. And we have books of sacred knowledge to read. But the point of writing a book on dhikr by a man who practiced dhikr throughout his life and took the dhikr from a blessed, authentic chain, from mouth not to ear, from a mouth to a heart. The benefit and the advantage of having such a book is that you benefited from it best by sitting in front of the Shaykh, to study the book with him, to read the book with him, but most importantly, to pick up the truths and the secrets and the lights behind the words which he wrote from his presence, from the aura around him, from his light, from his hand, his state of the heart, state of the ruh, which cannot be achieved by studies, but only by suluk, by practice of dhikr, and also by inheritance, this legacy. We heard beautiful testimonies from his honorable Shaykh, Maulana Abdul Daim, Hafidha Noor-Ul-Huda Razza in Pakistan, and I could testify the humility of the Shaykh. He was saying that أحب الصالحين ولست منهم لعلي أن أنال بهم شفاعة. I love the righteous, and although I'm not one of them, so that I may get by loving them some intercession. And I say to him, تحب الصالحين وأنت منهم. You love the righteous and you are one of them. And by the righteous people of this kind, believe me, lands are blessed. Gatherings are blessed. People may change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove calamities because of the righteous, because of the people of dhikr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends His favors, rains will come down, plants will grow, sheep and cows will give milk, because of the barakah of the righteous people amongst us, which we do not appreciate. Dhikr, brothers and sisters, is the only act of worship which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to do a lot in the Qur'an al-Kareem. A lot. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا. O ye who believe, make mention of Allah, remember Allah a lot. كثيرا. What is the kathir? What is the definition, had, of al-kathir? It is defined in one of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi وآله وسلم, when he says, حتى يقال مجنون. اذكروا الله تعالى حتى يقال مجنون. Remember Allah, invoke the name of Allah, repeat it and repeat it and repeat it till people say you're crazy, you're insane. Because people who are in love are described in true love, are described as being majnoon, insane. I'm sure you all know the story of Majnoon Layla, Qais ibn al-Mulawih. He was in love. He went around, even kissing the walls where his beloved used to live. أمر على الديار ديار ليلى أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار وما حب الديار شغفنا قلبي ولكن حب من سكن الديار. I pass by the land, the camps of Layla, kissing that wall and this wall. It is not the love of walls which preoccupied my heart, it's the love who dwelled in these walls, amongst these walls. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to be preoccupied by dhikr all the time until people think you're in love. When people see you, do people recognize in you that you are in love with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Do people recognize that you are in love with Allah? It doesn't prevent you from your actual life obligations. It doesn't prevent you from anything you're doing, but people know who you are. What is your preoccupation? What is your main goal? What is where your heart is? In business? Business is good. It's an obligation for those who are doing business. Studies? Yes, it is good for those who are studying, but all of that is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of that is an act of worship to come closer to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your heart should be with Allah, not with anything else. Your heart should be devoted to Allah, emptied from everything else. Imam ibn Ata'illah al-Sakandari rahimahullah ta'ala says, فَرِّغْ قَلْبَكَ مِنَ الْأَغْيَارِ يَمْلَأُهُ بِالْمَعَارِفِ وَالْأَسْرَارِ. Empty your heart from all others, and He'll fill it for you with knowledge of Him and secrets from Him. Do we do dhikr a lot until people see that we are crazy? Let's say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. May Allah bless you. May Allah bless you. That's love for Allah. That's love for Allah. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ passed by a mount. It's named Jundan. The Prophet ﷺ said, سَبَقَ الْمُفَرِّدُونَ. Those who are unique have come first, ahead of everyone. قالوا وَمَا الْمُفَرِّدُونَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Who are these unique people? قال هم المستهترون بذكر الله. المستهترون, those who are preoccupied to the maximum level by the dhikr of Allah. استهتر إذا ذهب عقله. Those who are engaged to that, they are not conscious of what's going on around them. That's the level of the dhikr al-kathir, which the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam defined. It comes in the Qur'an as a command. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam defined the amount of it. This is why he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to do dhikr around all of his life. In all of his states. كَانَ يَذْكُرُ اللَّهَ فِي جَمِيعِ أَحْيَانِهِ. We have some remnants, alhamdulillah, we have some remnants, reminders. Muslims in the past used to do dhikr all the time. But now, we do dhikr only. When a calamity happens, we say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. When we are incapable of doing something, we say, لَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. When we start something, we say, Bismillah. When we finish something, we say, Alhamdulillah. When we see something beautiful, we say, MashaAllah. Or we say, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. There is a dhikr for everything we do in our life, to remind us of Allah, to remind us that we are servants of Allah, to pull our attention to the fact that we are not just animals on the face of the earth. The difference between us and animals is that we are servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have knowledge of Allah, and we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we obey His commands, and we follow His instructions, and we believe in His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. That's the difference, major difference between us and animals. Other than that, animals do dhikr. Animals do dhikr, it's our problem we do not hear them. Many of the awliya of the past heard them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Qur'an al-Kareem, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. There is nothing but that it glorifies Allah. It sings the glory of Allah. Everything, including animals, including matter. There's a veil in this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may remove the veil. This is why some rebels did tasbih in the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Other rebels in the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam testified that he is the messenger of Allah. Trees in Mecca, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passed by a street, all trees said Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Another tree obeyed his command, came to him and returned to its place. Should we be worse than animals and matter? Just keeping silent, mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only when it benefits us, only when there is an interest or a trigger? No. We should always be in a state of dhikr. Always be in a state of dhikr. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't interrupt anything you're doing. Around the day, around the night. Some of the awliya were in a state of dhikr and expressed this, like Imam Ibn Abbas al-Mursi, the major Khalifa of Imam Abu Hassan al-Shadi, a great qutb, teacher and master of Imam Ibn Ata'illah al-Second. He said, والله إذا غاب عني لو غاب عني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طرفة عين ما عددت نفسي من المسلمين. If Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم is absent from me 1 second, 1 blink of an eye, I wouldn't consider myself a Muslim. I asked my father, rahimahullah ta'ala, I was very young and I heard this, and usually when you are a boy, young boy or something, you have more courage to ask than when you are a grown-up student and shy and sitting in adab. So when I was a young man, I asked my father, how could this be achieved? Is this possible? He said, yeah, you can do it. I said, how can I achieve this state? He gave me a prescription that I applied, and I found it very possible even for someone who's young, a young boy around the day trying to remember around the day from morning till evening that I am with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or getting to bed remembering Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How? He told me, when you get up in the morning, remember that during the day, everything you do, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is watching you, is looking at you. And you want to do something that cools his eyes, that pleases him, around the day. We were simple at the time. Our life was just from a mosque to the house to the mosque, from a mosque to another mosque, from a dars to another dars, from a dhikr session to a dars to a dhikr session, and so on. That was our life. And I tried this, it's beautiful. Then he said, when you go in the evening to bed, you sleep just because you want to see Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in your dream. So your day and your night are all wrapped by mentioning Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, remembering Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And here I would like to remind you all that prayers on Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is one of the best forms of dhikr. Is one of the best forms of dhikr. Why? Because you say, Allahumma salli. Allahumma salli. Even in every form. The prayer is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma means Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Do we know the pleasure of saying Ya Allah? Do we know the pleasure of mentioning the name Allah? Just to give you a form, a way to appreciate that you can say Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Remember that in Judaism, they cannot utter the name of Allah. It's forbidden for the Jewish people to utter the name, the real name of Allah. The real name of Allah in Hebrew is 4 letters. Ye, Ya, Ha, Waw, Ha. It occurs in the Torah 6,600 plus times. They have some certain number, 6,666 times. It occurs in the Torah. In the Hebrew language, they have a form of vocalization. But when the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these 4 letters occur, whenever they occur in the Torah, in Hebrew, they are unvocalized. So there is no harakat on how to pronounce them. How do they pronounce it? They don't pronounce it. Whenever it comes, they pronounce a different name, Adonai. Adonai, which means the Lord. They don't pronounce it. Why? There are various interpretations. One of the interpretations they present is that it's too sacred to be uttered, but in the temple. Too sacred to be uttered. So the letters are there, which are pronounced by others like Yeho or Jehovah or whatever, the same letters from Hebrew, but when they want to pronounce it, they are forbidden from pronouncing it, from uttering it. You see here the beauty of Islam? Allah. Anyone can say Ya Allah, little, old. You don't even need to be in a state of purity to say Ya Allah. You can say, of course, it's perfect adab to always maintain a state of purity in dhikr, but when you want to call upon your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His name, this is the name of the essence, this is the single name of Allah, al-Ismul Mufrad, Ismul Dhati al-Aliyya, the name of the sublime essence. You say Allah, you say Ya Allah, and no one bans you from saying it, no one prevents you from saying it. It's a sacred name, but not so that you do not utter it. This is why I say to people, to realize how sacred this name is, how would you dare say Allah, say Alhamdulillah, say Bismillah, recite Al-Fatiha, or do any type of dhikr, recite any part of Al-Qur'an Al-Kareem, which is the best dhikr, and then say 12 words in your mouth. The same vessel. Would you have a glass or a pot or a jar and use it for water or milk or honey, then urinate in it, and later on pour in it milk and drink it without cleaning it? Would you use the same pot you use for urination to use it for honey and milk and water? How dare you say a swear word by such a mouth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed you to utter with it His name, His beautiful names, to recite with it Al-Qur'an Al-Kareem, His words, pre-eternal, and then use the same vessel from the lips to the chest, the same vessel, utter in it foul words, swear words, lies, backbiting, accusations against others, buhtan, and so on and so on and so on. Imagine the purity of these words. You know that if you write the name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's say 66 times on a piece of paper and put it in a jar of water, that water will be blessed and will be source of shifa. You know that if you take few verses of the Qur'an, like the 6 verses known as Ayatul Shifa, 6 verses in the Qur'an in which the word Shifa, cure, occurs, you write them on a piece of paper, you put them in a jar of water, and you drink that water will be source of blessings, source of cure. The water substance will change. And your heart is not changing when you say Allah. How come? Because we do dhikr al-lisan. Because we do dhikr al-lisan, just mere repetition. There's no observation, muraqabah. There's no connection. There's preoccupation of the mind. Dhikr has to be done. Al-lisan, al-qalb, to start with. However, this doesn't mean that when you do dhikr and you don't find any presence of the heart that you stop الإمام ابن عطاء الله السكندي warns of this in his حكم aphorism. لا تترك الذكر لعدم حضورك مع الله فيه. Do not abandon dhikr because you do not feel the presence of Allah. In your dhikr, continue. Get the right instructions, get the right state. In order to, when you do dhikr, that your heart is present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you do dhikr, the whole being of you is in the mood of dhikr. Because dhikr is ضد الغفلة. Dhikr is opposite to heedlessness in Arabic. This is the linguistical meaning. Then it is used terminologically, istilahan, for the repetition of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or certain verses or certain sentences in a certain number. So originally, dhikr, remembrance, opposite of heedlessness. So when you're repeating just merely by your tongue, and your heart is somewhere else, you're not in a state of remembrance. You're in a state of distraction. You're not with Allah. Allah is with you always. This question is, are you with Him? So when we say Allah, 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 do we feel its impact? There's one beautiful story in the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, in which he was returning from one battle and slept sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam with his sahaba around him in a piece of land, and he was sallallahu alayhi wa sallam under a tree, and his sword was hanging on the tree. While he was sleeping sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a man, a Bedouin, came and took his sword and wanted to kill him sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. قال من يمنعك مني? Who protects you from me? The Prophet ﷺ said one word, Allah! Allah! One word, one time, and the sword fell from the hand of that Bedouin. The Prophet ﷺ took the sword and said, Man yamna'uka minni? Who protects you from me? Said, no one. Then said, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. When Allah is said with this full power, it becomes a hal for you. It takes years of practice. It takes years of self-struggle, mujahada. It takes years of khidmah of al-salihin. It takes years of company amongst the zakirin and the righteous. It takes years of ma'rifah and deep knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It takes years of realization of the station of Tawheed, maqam al-Tawheed. It takes a lot, but always you have to be on the journey. This is why people who travel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are called salikeen. They are salikeen. They are travelers. Is there a road? Yes, there is a way. There is a road. Physical? No. Metaphorical. How come? Where do we bring this tariqah? Tariqah is a way, a road. Where does it come from? I tell you, from the Qur'an. This metaphor is not something the Sufis invented. It's from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Sabil is a tariq. The word mentioned in the Quran Kareem, synonyms. يذكر ويؤنث. وَإِنْ يَرَوْا سَبِيلَ الرُّشْدِ لَا يَتَّخِذُوهُ سَبِيلًا قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. That is my way. That is my way. I call to Allah. عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. With awareness, I and those who follow me. That's the principle of the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a way defined by instructions, defined by principles, defined by practices. That's the Sunni way, that's the Sufi way, that's the way of suluk, that's the way of the journeyers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is no more than breaking yourself, controlling yourself, removing the veil between you and yourself. Because in your journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there are many veils. Imam Shaykh al-Islam al-Dimashqi, one of the greatest Gnostics, summed up in his epistle, which is 4 pages, on Aqidah al-Sufiyya, the Aqidah, Islamic Aqidah, from a Sufi perspective. He starts saying, Al-Khalqu Hijab. وأنت حجاب والحق ليس بمحجوب ومحتجب عنك بك وأنت محتجب عنك بهم فانفصل عنك تشهد. الخلق حجاب. The created beings are a veil, veiling you. Sometimes veiling you from Allah, but often veiling you just from yourself, from witnessing yourself, from knowing your reality. Because we have it in a hadith that is attributed to Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu in the books of hadith, and Shaykh Al Muhammad ibn Arabi proved that it is through kashf, that it is an authentic hadith. And I hope that someone writes a book on the hadith which the Sufis proved through kashf that they are authentic. This is one of them. Imam Suyuti authored an epistle in commentary of this hadith. Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbah. Anyone who knows himself will know his Lord. Anyone who knows himself will know his Lord. Know yourself with the humility. Know yourself in the ubudiyya. Know yourself in al-faqr. Know your real state, your real description. Again, Imam ibn Ata'illah put it in his hikam, تحقق بوصفك يمدك بوصفه. تحقق بوصفك. Realize your own attributes, your own reality. Don't make claims alongside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want sadaqah from Allah, you want Allah to give you. In reality, in fiqh, we don't give sadaqah to people who are wealthy. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين. Sadaqah is for poor people. You have and you claim and you ask Allah and expect Allah to give you. Allah will tell you, go and do with what you have. Then have a state of poverty, faqr before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you will be entitled. You want to have nasr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, support from Allah while you claim power, Allah will not give you nasr and power if you claim to have it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum around the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, addressing them, وَلَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ. Allah gave you triumph in Badr when you were humiliated, when you were weak, having had no claims. Even some of them didn't have swords to fight, they had sticks when they went on the battle. In that state of recognizing their own poverty and their own weakness, Allah granted them the triumph. So when we do dhikr with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do we realize that we travel in order to reach ourselves and see the realities of ourselves, get rid of our wings, get rid of the control of our nafs upon us? وَالنَّفْسُ كَالطِّفْلِ إِن تُهْمِلْهُ شَبَّ عَلَىٰ بِالرَّضَاعِ وَإِن تَفْطِمْهُ يَنْفَطِمِ. Read that second section of the Burda of Imam Busiri in which he describes the gravity of the nafs and its control and how to push it away. This is why the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the end goes through your nafs. The Sufis put it in a beautiful statement. لَيْسَ بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ مَسَافَةٌ تَقْطَعُهَا وَإِنَّمَا هِيَ نَفْسُكَ طَالَتْ أَوْ قَصُرَتْ. There is no distance between you and Allah to travel through. It is your nafs. You can travel through your nafs in 1 second. It may take you 15 years. Long or short, it's just your nafs that veils you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's your nafs that gives the command to your body. It's your nafs that has all of the evil qualities. So the whole struggle is about changing this nafs from a nafs al-ammara bis-su' to a nafs al-mutma'inna, to a nafs al-radiyya, to a nafs al-mardiyya. That's the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the shortest way to do this is through dhikr. Dhikr works on you without even you noticing, against your will. The Shaykh may give you a dhikr and you wouldn't realize the result of it, but the Shaykh notices in you how the dhikr changes you. That's the benefit of the dhikr, because Arabic is the sacred language. When you say in Arabic, nar, 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 fire, 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 you should feel burning. This is why we have so beautiful remedies from the Qur'an al-Kareem. For example, الآن خفف الله عنكم. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for you. Beautiful verse that speaks about jihad. Originally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaced the duty of Muslims to confront, one confronts 10 by one confronting 2. الآن خفف الله عنكم. This verse is one of the best remedies for fever. For fever. You put your hand, if you are righteous, if your tongue is pure, if you are righteous, and you have ijazah, you put your hand on an ill person, sick person who has fever, and you recite, الآن خفف الله عنكم, Allah reduces the fever for him. Power of the sacred words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you find it strange now when you say Allah, or you say Ya Kareem, or you say Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, or La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, or Astaghfirullah, that there will be impact. If you don't see the result, then question your state. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so beautiful, and the statement La ilaha illallah is so beautifully arranged in a way that is beyond imagination. Imam ibn Ata'illah al-Secondary wrote a book on the name of Allah, on the single name Allah, its secrets. Called القصد المجرد في معرفة الاسم المفرد. If you look at it, just the letters Allah. First of all, it has no dots. And by having no dots, the same as in the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it means here there are no veils. The letters are just clear in front of you. There is nothing to cover them. And the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is made of 3 letters. Alif, Lam, Ha. From the same 3 letters, the whole sentence La ilaha illallah is made. If you write the name Allah and delete the first alif, it becomes Lillahi, a sentence, nominative sentence. Lillahi, like Lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. Lam harf jar, ismu jalala, al-lafdhu majroor. Lillahi, it belongs to Allah. Delete the first lam. Lahu, like lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. To him belongs. Lahu. And delete the second lam, and you have Hu. In Hafs, when we recite Ayat al-Kursi, we read Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyu al-qayyum, right? And the pause, the waqf, is at al-qayyum. The recommended waqf is at al-qayyum. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyu al-qayyum. While in Warsh recitation, the waqf of al-hifti recommended is Allahu la ilaha illa hu al-hayyu al-qayyum. That's the recommended waqf in Warsh according to al-hifti codes of waqf. Beautiful, to show the power. Allahu la ilaha illa hu. Huwa al-hayyu fad'uhu mukhlisina lahu ad-din. Huwa Allahu alladhi la ilaha illa hu. Hu, which is a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only a pronoun, it is a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That many of the great awliya reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the dhikr by this name, Hu. So we see now how Allah is arranged in this beautiful way. And then La ilaha illallah comes to be made of the same 3 letters, no one extra letter and no dot amongst them at all. La ilaha illallah, and the sentence of it, amazingly, is made of 12 letters. It attracted me to read sometimes and then reflect also that Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is also made of 12 letters. Count them: Mim, Ha, Mim, Dal, Ra, Sin, Waw, Lam. Muhammad Rasulullah, 12 letters. But to show that, this is a great secret. To show that even La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah cannot be taken but through silsila and through isnad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranged Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, 12 letters. Umar ibn al-Khattab, 12 letters. Count them. Uthman ibn Affan, 12 letters. Ali ibn Abi Talib, 12 letters. Abu Muhammad al Hassan, Khamis al-Khulafa al-Rashidin, the Khulafa al-Rashidin are not 4, they are 5. Don't forget the 5th. The 5th of them is Imam Hassan alayhi salam, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sayyidu Shababi Ahli Jannah, Inna ibni hada Sayyid, our great grandfather radiyallahu ta'ala an alayhi salam. Al-Hassan is the 5th of Al-Khulafa al-Rashidin. He was the one who handed over the Khilafah to Sayyidina Muawiyah after 6 months, after having around him 40,000 fighters who would fight for him and victory was guaranteed for him. He opted for handing over Al-Khilafah al-Zahira. Allah gave him Al-Khilafah al-Batina. That's why in the offspring of Imam Al-Hassan alayhi salam, there is the great awliya, and from one generation to another it goes, they have the power from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of tasrif. Abu Muhammad al-Hassan, 12. Now you may ask, why 12? Why number 12? Also, it raised a lot of questions in my mind, and I reached the following conclusion. 12 is the least number that combines al-shafa' and al-watr. The next is 21. Al-watr, odd number, the single, the only, the unique is 1. And the least even figure number is 2. So if you want to have a combination of 2, you would have it in 12, the minimum. The next is 22. Then it will be repetition, like 112, 121, 212, and 211, and so on. It will be a repetition. So the least number that has both of them, 1 and 2, is 12. Why 1 and 2? Because I just mentioned the verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an oath in the Qur'an al-Karim when we read Surah Al-Fajr. وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ. وَالشَّفْعِ by the 2 and by the 1. By the 2 and by the 1. The 1, al-watr and al-witr is qira'ah sab'iyya also, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is al-shafa'? What is al-shafa' then? In the books of tafsir they say al-shafa' is everything other than Allah. كُلُّ مَا سِوَى اللَّهِ. لأن الله شفع به الوجود. That is to say, there was Allah and there was nothing with Allah, as in the hadith of Al-Bukhari. كان الله ولا شيء معه. Abu Hurairah narrates this hadith. The Prophet was asked, tell us about the beginning of this matter of existence. He said, كان الله ولم يكن شيء معه. There was Allah, Allah was, and there was nothing alongside Him in existence at all. So, when Allah created the world, then there was something else existent alongside Allah, though its existence is illusionary, because it is prone to annihilation at any moment. This is why we need to witness the fana of this universe before it's real fana, and you have to witness the fana of yourself, the annihilation of yourself first. It's very important that you know that everything around you existent by power from Allah. It may end at any moment. You have many verses in the Qur'an that speak about this fact. However, if you look and reflect upon the name of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, you see that the name of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in numerology, this is ilm al-adad, that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is 92. Mim equals 40, ha 80, mim 40, and dal 4. That's 92. And there is amongst the Sufis a way to get to know the minimum and highest value of the figure. So if you add up 9 and 2 together, there will be 11. Add up 1 and 1 together, there will be 2. So who is al-shafa'? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So it's not only one oath, لَعَمْرُكَ إِنَّهُمْ لَفِي سَكْرَتِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ. 2 oaths. Allah made oaths by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Qur'an twice. Once by his lifetime and once by him, referring to him here in this verse, وَالشَّفْعِ. الشَّفْعُ Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. To explain this properly, get the line, the famous line, that is attributed to Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala an, أَتَزْعُمُ أَنَّكَ جِرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ وَفِيكَ انْطَوَى الْعَالَمُ الْأَكْبَرُ. You claim, you think you are a small being, Whilst with the new, the universe is folded. With the new, the whole universe is folded. If you want an example, just look at the cell. And the example of the orbit in the cell, and how the electrons and the neutrons just around the cell. And the neutron of the cell and the electrons just in orbit circumambulating. It's just a small example of the universe. So you have within you the whole universe exemplified, summed up. What about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Rasulullah is al-insan al-kamil. He's the big perfect man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala summed in him every type of perfection. This is why it's no wonder that al-shafa' is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because he's the example of perfection, the example of beauty, and anything else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created is summed up in him. And he is the source of beauty and the source of perfection, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So we see here why 12 is selected as numbers of letters for La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, and then not randomly. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show to us that there is a chain. There is a chain. And you have to be connected. Let me sum up by this. We have a book of Zikr to celebrate. But more important than the book of Zikr which we celebrate is the writer of the book, who is in front of us. A great man of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a great man of knowledge in front of us. Get the book and get to the teacher before the book. Because in order to understand the book, you won't be able to best benefit from it unless you have the teacher and you sit in front of him in your knees and you practice dhikr in front of him and you listen to him and you learn from his adab and you get to benefit from his state. Because tarbiyah is at various levels. And when you sit even in front of a shaykh and the shaykh is silent, the shaykh is silent. If you have come in sincerity and if you have full adab, you should benefit from the shaykh by your hal. His state transfers to you. His himma, his spiritual power elevates you and takes you higher, even if the shaykh is just silent. This is what the Prophet ﷺ explained when he was asked about awliya. Who are the awliya? He said, those when you see, they remind you of Allah. الَّذِينَ إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ يُذَكِّرُونَكَ بِاللَّهِ. And we see Mufti Hassan, and he reminds us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah bless you, may Allah reward you for these great efforts. And may Allah bless this book, inshallah, and make it spread and allow people to benefit from it. May Allah allow people in the city and in the UK and outside, in Pakistan and other parts of the world to benefit from the Shaykh and from his book. Barakallahu feekum, and thank you for giving me this honor to speak here and be present and be part of this. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.
الله 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 محمد